Welcome to 10 Minutes With. It's a podcast for people who want to listen to podcasts but don't have all day. We've got a quick chat with someone you might be interested in learning more about in about 10 minutes. Josh Wilson is a PK, a husband, a dad, and a broken lover of Jesus. And we're going to dig deep.
Let's do it.
You have boldly stepped into the world of being honest about things like mental health and dependency, which is a really bold thing for a Christian artist to do, because a lot of times people who look at people like you expect that your life is perfect, top notch all the time.
There's a pressure to pretend that. And I think probably not just for people like me who stand on a stage and sing into a microphone, but probably for all of us. I mean, just as humans, first of all, I think we all want to put on a face. We're all tempted to, when we're asked, how are we doing, to say fine, no matter what the real answer is. But then, for those of us who follow Jesus, I think sometimes there's this added and unnecessary pressure to act like we have it all together. Because if I follow Jesus, then I guess I'm supposed to have it all together. I'm supposed to behave and not mess up, and certainly not have an alcohol addiction and struggle with anxiety and depression. And that's just not true. I don't follow Jesus because I have it all together. I follow Jesus because I don't, and because I need somebody to hold me together. And that's Jesus. And so, yes, I have gotten more honest in recent years about the ways I have needed Christ in my life. And yeah, all of the things that you talked about, I've struggled with all of that. I actually, this month, July of 2024, I'll celebrate 7 years sober from alcohol addiction. And I was a Christian when I was struggling with this addiction. And yeah, it was tempting to hide it, but it wasn't until I was honest about it that I was able to get real help.
Was it freeing when you finally said, hey, everybody, this stuff's going on in my life?
Yes. It was really scary to decide to tell somebody, because my problem, I had kept it a secret. I don't know how, but I had managed to keep the extent of my addiction a secret. And so it was my choice to come forward and to eventually tell first my friend James, and then get into a counselor, and then eventually tell my wife just how bad the problem was. So those things were really scary. But once I got past that, yes, it was very freeing, because I no longer had this secret. I could just be honest and tell the truth. And I think that's what Jesus invites us to do, is to bring our whole selves to him and to others. It wasn't to just air my dirty laundry and say, woe is me, but it was to say, I have this issue. I need help. And now that, as far as the addiction goes, that I've got some time of sobriety under my belt, to talk about it and to hopefully provide encouragement to help others who might be going through the same thing.
I hope you overwhelmingly felt love and support, but I'm sure there were probably some people who were not so kind. For people who have faced that kind of scrutiny from inside the church, Christians are so great at standing in a circle and pointing fingers at each other.
I have a song, I have a new record that came out this year. It's called Mental Help, Help. And the second song is kind of my autobiography. And the second verse, it says, Dad was a Baptist preacher. Mom was a choir teacher. Better or worse, I was raised in the church. That's where I learned to hide my hurts. And you're right. I'm a pastor's kid. So there's kind of even this added pressure of most of the people in the church I grew up in knew me. And to just always act like I'm okay, for fear of what people might actually think. And, there was so many friends in my life who were so kind about all of this. And as far as the addiction piece of things goes, there's another song of mine where the bridge is just tell God and somebody else, and it just keeps saying that. If you're struggling with something, to tell God and tell a trusted friend. And I think it really matters who you tell. You got to tell the right person. But people were so kind in my life. There are other areas where I'll post on social media and trying to encourage people, mostly in regards to anxiety and depression. And I talk about things like counseling and therapy and medication, and the ways that have helped me, besides, prayer and church and reading my Bible. And sometimes I'll get judgment there. And it's sad to me, because I think a lot of people might be missing out on some ways that God has helped people through these things, because it's not the way they think it should be. So yeah, there is some of that. And my good friend Jason Gray, I think of this quote a lot. He says, sometimes you have to just give people permission to misunderstand you. And that's given me a lot of freedom,
Whew,
at the end of the day.
that is good right there.
Yeah. And I just am like, as far as the stuff I'm putting out there in my
Mm,
songs and on socials, some people are going to misunderstand me, and it's okay. That stuff I guess it wasn't for them.
mm.
And they'll hopefully find something that encourages them. But the people who are connecting mean the world to me. And I just keep putting it out there for that.
How old is Asher now, your son?
Oh, he is 8
Wow.
and he'll be 9 in November. He's going into 3rd grade.
That's got to be
And
so exciting for you. You guys, like your adventures that I see online, they make my heart
he's
just burst.
fun.
Yeah.
He's so fun. He's at a fun age. He still thinks I'm cool, which is great. I'm holding on to that as long as I can. Yeah, we have so much fun. He's a little musician. He plays piano, and it's fun because he and I have that shared experience. But it's really funny because we had to find him a different teacher than me because he didn't want to hear from his dad. He's like, I'll be like, Asher, try the scale this way or the chord this way. He's like, Dad, I know. And then his teacher will say the same thing. He's like, Dad, guess what Miss Caitlin showed me? I'm like, I told you that. And he's like, no, you didn't. So
Was it weird for Miss Caitlin to have Josh Wilson? Like you're an incredible musician. Like I've heard people say you are the best guitarist in Nashville, which I know you're going to say.
Untrue.
You're going to say that's not true, but you really are. You are a talented musician. And that must have been trippy for her to have you like walk in with Asher's hand.
Well, she's an incredible musician. She's she's actually teaching him the Suzuki method. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing the Suzuki method on piano, which is primarily at first by ear, and he's got a great ear, and I'm just thrilled. And she's brilliant the way that she's teaching him, and he started a couple years ago, and so God bless her for between him and all these other little kids his age, all the boogers on her keys. She's a saint. She must have a lot of Clorox wipes.
How's Becca? Your wife she seems like the sweetest person ever just from distance.
She is. And some people, when they meet her, think she's faking it, but it's real. It's true. I live with her and I want to be just like her. And I'm not just saying that. She's so fun. We are going to celebrate 15 years in August.
That's great.
So, we're good friends. I love her and we have a good time together. Her family's in town right now. Her sisters are coming into town, and so we're kind of doing some fun family stuff. Gonna hit the pool, the skating rink, all the fun summer stuff. And she's the best. I'm gonna release a song on our 15th anniversary, which is August 8th, that I wrote for her, a love song. So that's coming out soon.
What's it called?
It's called Better.
I feel like you just led us into a very private place. It has to be like that often as a songwriter, I would guess.
It's wild. You kind of got to share your deepest, darkest secrets, but then try and tap into some universal truth that when people hear it, they can relate. And that song has some very, very specific stories. And my hope is that people realize the value in, not just marriage relationships, but any relationship with another person. There's hard things, and we get through them, and it can get better. We can get stronger because of it.
Josh Wilson is in concert July 28th in Norwich, New York. Connect to tickets on the events page at familylife.org. If you've enjoyed this episode of 10 Minutes With, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. You might also consider giving to Family Life, the listener-funded ministry that makes this and other podcasts possible. Go to familylife.org and find out more about what we do. Did you know Family Life offers a variety of podcasts? Get up to date with Family Life news or enjoy some family time with Family Life Kids. There's If That Makes Sense, a Family Life original podcast where they talk about what life is really like as a Christian in your 20s. And Terese Talk, a podcast with help for women to better serve their families and community. They're all free and on demand at familylife.org. Just click podcast under the radio menu.